What is going on, everybody? In this video, I want to talk about the 10 college football teams that I think have the most to prove next season. I think there's a lot of stakes for these 10 teams and they have a lot to prove, so let's get right into the video. And at number 10, I have the Nebraska Cornhuskers. I think this team has a lot to prove coming off of their first bowl game appearance in a long time. And the combination of coordinator Dana Holgorsen and quarterback Dylan Raiola should really help that offense out. And they've added some big pieces through the transfer portal. They had a good transfer portal class, and they added a very good receiver in Dane Key from Kentucky. This should be a very improved offense. The defense will be losing Tony White, so we'll see how they adjust without their top defensive coordinator and Tony White, one of the better DCs in the country. And they do have a major overhaul on the defensive front. I think there's still a ton left on the plate for this Nebraska team, and the ceiling is high. Last season, they got over that hump, but they were not that great last season. They did win 7 games, but there's still a lot more they need to prove, and next season, they could really break out. So I do have them at number 10. Another team that has a lot to prove is Oklahoma, and head coach Brent Venables has a lot to prove as well. Oklahoma should have a very good defense once again in the SEC, and they will have Brent Venables calling plays on defense, so that's very good. But if this team wants to take a step forward, they are going to need massive development on offense behind the new coordinator Ben Arbuckle and definitely the transfer portal quarterback and John Mateer. Most people are ranking John Mateer as a top 10 quarterback. People are high on this kid. I still have major questions with that Oklahoma offensive line and that receiving room. I don't know if they have that one standout receiver who can really be a great leader for the offense. So there's going to be a lot on the shoulders of John Mateer, in my opinion. And I think this offense has a lot to prove. And I think this Oklahoma team has a lot to prove. This team is one of the most winningest football programs in college football history. So another losing season would be a major downfall for this team. So yes, they absolutely have a ton to prove. And I do have them at number 9. I almost didn't put Wisconsin on this list, but I'm going to say they still have a lot more to prove. The downfall this team has had has been very surprising, definitely with a head coach like Luke Fickell. People were expecting him to lead this Wisconsin team to some great seasons just by what he did at Cincinnati. Luke Fickell led Cincinnati to the playoffs. But Wisconsin is coming off of 2 pretty bad seasons and a losing season in 2024. They have been one of the most winningest programs in the Big Ten over the last 10 to 15 years, but the last 2 seasons have not been good for Wisconsin, and they have a ton to prove. The quarterback scenario has been absolutely horrible. So there's going to be a lot on the shoulders of Billy Edwards Jr., the transfer portal quarterback from Maryland. I do think he could be an upgrade at quarterback, but they still have a ton to prove. If Wisconsin has another bad season, people are going to completely give up on Luke Fickell, including myself. I kind of already have. They just don't have a super talented roster, and Luke Fickell is not using the transfer portal very well either. So yeah, this team really needs to take a step forward, or they're going to be in the bottom of the Big Ten. And Luke Fickell could definitely be in the hot seat in the future. And I do have this Wisconsin team at number 8. At number 7, I have the Utah Utes. This is a team that has the potential to be one of the most improved teams in the whole country. And Kyle Whittingham has a lot to prove late in his coaching career. This team has a lot to prove. And I think this team has the talent and the roster to take a huge step forward and be a contender for the Big 12 title. And that's why I have them in my top 10. I do think they have a lot to prove. This is a team that took a step back in 2023, only winning 8 games, and then in 2024 missing a bowl game. That was a huge surprise. People were picking them to win the Big 12 with Cam Rising returning at quarterback, but he got injured again. But heading into next season, they returned some good production. The defense should be good once again. Devin Dampier is possibly one of the most underrated quarterbacks in the nation. And they also picked up a very underrated running back that people are not talking about enough. And they got that running back from Washington State. They also have a new coordinator in Jason Beck on offense as well. And I think a better quarterback in Devin Dampier and a great rushing attack with Parker is going to help this offense out a lot. I think Utah is certainly going to take a step forward. I think they will have a better roster, and I think they are going to get back to winning football games. So I definitely think they have a lot to prove, and I have them at number 7. At number 6, I have the Michigan Wolverines. This team has a ton to prove. They have a lot of pressure on them because of the way they have been using the portal and using their NIL money. They have been recruiting at a very high level, even better than Jim Harbaugh was. And they bring in a 5-star true freshman quarterback in Bryce Underwood, one of the best quarterbacks over the last 25 years. At least when you look at the recruiting rankings. This quarterback could be a monster for this Michigan team, but they have a lot to prove because the offense was not that great last year, and they don't have great options at wide receiver. They lose a lot of NFL talent. They lose their 2 defensive tackles and Will Johnson. They have a freshman quarterback. They have a new running back. They have some new pieces, and they are trying to get back to being a contender in the Big Ten. They had a good end to the last season, winning 8 football games, beating Alabama and Ohio State. So there's a lot of pressure heading into next season. People are high on this team, but I wouldn't be surprised if they let some people down. So I am going to say they have a lot to prove, and I do have them at number 6. At number 5, I have USC. Lincoln Riley has a ton to prove. This USC team has been trending downhill with Lincoln Riley the last couple of years, and they are just trying to get over that hump and get comfortable playing Big Ten football. There's a ton of work to do on defense, and they have some question marks at the line of scrimmage on both sides of the ball. New quarterback Jada Mayava really needs to settle in, but they do have a solid group of wide receivers to help them out. They could make a push in the Big Ten, but they definitely have a lot to prove. Lincoln Riley might have his job on the line very soon. So I do have USC at number 5. But definitely watch out for this team because they have the number 1 recruiting class in 2026 right now. LSU is among one of the top teams in the country with a lot to prove. Brian Kelly has struggled to win the openers. This LSU team has not made the playoffs with Brian Kelly, and they've struggled on defense. But if there was a year for a breakthrough, it would certainly be next year. They have a very talented roster. They have the number 1 transfer portal class in the country. They will have Patrick Payton and also Harold Perkins Jr. on the edge for that defense. And they have an aggressive defensive coordinator heading into year 2 with Blake Baker. The offense adds some huge receivers out of the portal in Barian Brown and Nick Anderson, and they have possibly the best returning quarterback in college football with Garrett Nussmeier. This LSU team definitely has the roster, and they have so much to prove. The schedule is favorable. Brian Kelly has been to the big stages before. He has struggled to win the big games, so I think there is a ton to prove. And they have the chance to prove a lot in week 1 when they play Clemson. So I definitely have this team at number 4. Number 3, I have Alabama. This team has a lot to prove with head coach Kalen DeBoer. Last season was Kalen DeBoer's first year at Alabama, and they only won 9 football games, their worst season since 2009, or should I say 2007. But regardless, it was definitely a down season for Alabama, but they had to transition with a new head coach, and they lost a bunch of talent after Nick Saban left. But heading into next season, they return a lot of production, and I think they're in a much better place, and they have a ton to prove. They have a solid quarterback battle going on with Ty Simpson and Keelan Russell and Austin Mack. So we'll see if the offense could take the right steps forward because they have a lot to prove, and I have them at number 3. At number 2, I have Florida State. It would be very odd if I did not have them on here. This team has the world to prove. After going from winning double-digit games and winning the ACC to only winning 2 football games, the eyes are going to be on this team. Everybody's going to be watching this team, and they will have a lot of pressure, and they have to prove a lot. And I think there's certainly potential with this team with a new coaching staff. They add former Auburn head coach and UCF head coach Gus Malzahn, a great offensive mind, as the OC. And they add a very good defensive coordinator in Tony White. They also added Thomas Castellanos at quarterback. He'll certainly be an upgrade. And they've added a decent haul of transfers, and Mike Norvell has the potential to show why he's still a good head coach. There's a lot of pressure on this team. They recruit at a high level in the state of Florida, so this team has a lot to prove. Next season, I have them at number 2. And at number 1, I think the team that has the most to prove in 2025 is the Auburn Tigers. After underperforming for multiple seasons in a row and having struggles at quarterback, this team has huge potential heading into next season, and they have the talent. It would honestly be embarrassing if this team missed a bowl game again because they have one of the most talented rosters in the country. They have a group of 5- and 4-star receivers coming up that are very young. And they add the top receiver in the transfer portal in Eric Singleton Jr. They have a very good defense as well. They've been consistent there. And they add a former 5-star quarterback in Jackson Arnold as well. The offense will need to be a lot better, and Jackson Arnold will need to show more at the quarterback position. But this receiving core should be among the best in the country. This team could be underrated. They could be overrated as well. It's really unpredictable with this team. And that's why I think this team has the most to prove next season. Hugh Freeze has a lot to prove at head coach. He could definitely be in the hot seat. And I do have them at number 1. But anyways, that is going to do it for this video. You guys let me know down in the comments below which college football team has the most to prove next season. But let me remind you guys to like the video and also subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you never miss an upload. And if you guys love college football, then you'll love this channel because we upload a ton of college football content and we basically cover everything on this channel. So definitely consider subscribing. And also consider checking out my socials down in the description below. But that is going to do it, guys, and peace out.